Hello and welcome everybody to episode 24 of the Fully Rendered Podcast. I am joined today by a lady who is not in her usual place of habitat.
Yes, I am.
You both did the same joke. Hey! Clap to YouTube. Yes, of course, by Pulp Fictionally. And of course, I'm joined by the...
a fucking idiot.
the guy who's upset. For good reason.
He has a good reason. Shall we explain?
Let's briefly talk about that. So for the patrons and people who are potentially interested in the Patreon, we as a benefit add access to special episodes that you won't really see on YouTube or on podcasting platforms. So for example, we're currently working on the Warhammer lore episode where Peachy teaches Warhammer to Pulp Fictionally. And,
it's called Getting Hammered.
Getting Hammered. That's actually the first time I've heard that. I like it. I suppose that pseudo announcement. It's potentially going to be no alcohol. It's potentially also going to be a series, given the size of the lore. So we may not necessarily do it one after the other in terms of special episodes, but look forward to not just one special episode in isolation in that regard. However,
don't look forward to one episode.
Let's get the first episode out first, Brian.
if you wanna take the mic, as it were, Peachy.
Okay, so the rewards were supposed to be done and basically up today. And I did a lot of research for it. We recorded it. It was great. We realized how much there was, so we were like, let's do a part 2.
Yeah.
And I haven't had time to sort of edit it. So this morning I got up early for me, which is 9, and I'm like, okay, I'll make all the assets for it, and then I'll edit the video. It shouldn't take long to edit the video because I just need to move the intro around that says it's, more than one part, and chop out little bits here and there. And I didn't record my audio, which is where all the information comes from.
Wow.
So it's a lot of my reaction. You could just upload that.
Skipping through, and it's just hoping. Oh my god!
Oh my god! Wow.
We'll upload it as a template chat, so you can just add your own questions, and she can just react to whatever you say.
Oh my god!
No one will see my shame. I am burning that.
Template, Brian, is that what it is?
Sorry, say again.
You just do a meme template where you can put any information. She goes, "Wow!" Oh my god!
You're on a green screen now, so you can just act shock and so screenshot it, and then they could put it in the background of a Star Wars movie or something like that. Just reacting to Oompa Loompas and Willy Wonka, as it were, things like that. Yeah, but obviously with the power of audio, someone could be like, "Oh yes, I like to butter my toast on 3 sides," and then you react, and you're like, "Oh my god, that's amazing! I wish I could do that." And people just lose
the
all
power
context.
of audio.
The power of audio.
Is it possible to learn this power?
The power. The power is double check everything over and over and over again, like a paranoid schizophrenic. That's the way to do it. That's basically what I do whenever I record any kind of
is it possible to learn this power of audio?
Yeah. It
I'm literally an audio engineer as well. That was my job before content creation.
Bless you. It happens though. It has happened to all of us at one point or another. It's happened to me multiple times. Or the famous, you're working and editing everything. You've spent hours on it, and because you're an idiot who doesn't turn on autosave, you just suddenly lose it when a computer crash happens or something like that. That's happened to me before as well after 6 hours of editing.
As an Adobe user, that's always on, dude.
Yeah. Only happens once. The only reason it happened to me that once is because I had an issue with my PC and had to reformat it, and I just forgot to turn the setting back on when I reinstalled Adobe Premiere. And I was like, "Oh, you fuck," kind of thing, because I knew it was all my fault. But yeah, it is what it is. But I think we've got otherwise a really good show today. So just to, I suppose, summarize what we were just discussing. The episode will be coming. It looks like Pulp and Peachy are looking to re-record it, but just expect a wee bit of a delay. So humble apologies. If you haven't checked out the Patreon, I do recommend that you give it a gander. There are various tiers with various features, including being able to ask us questions, and you can submit questions for us to answer on the podcast. And we'll also have polls, a little bit like the one that I posted on the Fully Rendered Twitter the other day regarding Quinfall. If you want more of that, where there's more choice and more options, as well as all of the other benefits, do check it out. Patreon.com/Fully fully rendered. Anyway, back with the show, episode 24. We've got quite an interesting one, I think. I mentioned this to the guys in the call before we went live. We've got some meaty subjects, varying degrees of, oh, this brings us joy, oh, this makes us sad, but they're very complex in a lot of ways. Should we jump into Quinfall?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Sure.
Have either of you been following the Quinfall saga?
No.
I've never heard of it before.
Never heard of it.
Right, so Quinfall is being pitched by the devs as one of the biggest MMOs that's ever going to come out, and it's going to have all these features. It's going to have a massive world. When they say biggest, they mean literally like the world size and things like that as well. And it looks like it's going to be the day before 2.0. There's been a couple of videos released in the last year by Nexon, I believe their name is. And they basically looked a little bit deeper into the things that have been provided for consumers as proof of the product. So like day before, there would be a trailer and things like that. There's a website and all these shenanigans. And Nexon has gone onto their website and noticed a couple of very peculiar things. For example, on the website previously, they talked about their offices that are based in Turkey, apparently, or at least were registered in Turkey. It turns out they're actually just at a university, and they tried to show us a picture of their office, and it turns out it wasn't a real picture. So this is the picture they showed us, which is a stock image with their logo on it. And when people noticed that and found the original stock image, they were like, that's not your office. Why are you showing us a fake office? And they've since replaced it and taken it off the website, and it's now just a picture of their logo.
Oh.
So right off the bat, you're like, why are you faking your office? Like, what's going on here? So
some people need to fake an office, Brian.
Sometimes you need to fake an office and just pilfer a stock photo. Like, obviously there are reasons to use stock photos. Like, if you use a stock photo, you're not immediately like suspicious, but why just not show us the office in the first place if you don't actually have one? But then he went through some of the screenshots that they had shown and some of the gameplay that they'd shown. And he must have spent a phenomenal amount of time on it, because he found about 75% of the assets were from stores. So it's just a giant asset flip. And he even shows in one of his videos that you could go into like the Unity store, buy a dungeon pack, go into the dungeon through the Unity editor, and just like organize screenshots and then color contrast them, change the colorization and stuff like that to make it look a bit more unique and less like the stock asset, essentially. And it seems to be almost all of their game. Now, they have since put out a statement saying, oh yeah, it's perfectly normal to use assets. It's to help development. This game's supposed to be coming out in the next year. It's only been in development for, I believe, 2 years. For the biggest MMO, which usually takes, for the good ones, the ones that have ever succeeded, at least 5 years to develop. So people are like, you're still using in-store assets 2 years into development. Your latest video of gameplay is showing nothing but assets still. Now, that's another red flag, as you can imagine. Another one would be their previous game. Now, this is where it gets even juicier, because in their previous game, they made an MMO. It was for Turkish players only. It looks pretty shit, to be honest. It looks dated, but it's functional. It has mechanics. It has all the usual bells and whistles, raids and dungeons from what we saw, things like that. It also has a cash shop. It's also in beta, or it was until they shut it down and gave no refunds on this cash shop. It also advertised on like the game's launcher, bynogame.com, but it's spelled B-Y-N-O game.com, which was a real money trading website. So this game that was in beta that had in-game currency was also sponsored by a real money trading website, which is obviously usually illegitimate. And the same website did real money trading for other games. So you could buy games for like Lost Ark, for example, or other gacha style games, things like that, where, you know, you usually have to invest money to win in the first place, and they just offer it cheaper, that sort of thing. So it's already using a shady website as a sponsor. And then people noticed that when they were looking into this, all the footage they could find of this older game was done by sponsored streamers, sponsored by bynogame.com. So you've already got this older game that they didn't actually fully release, charged people for pay to win stuff, cosmetics, all sorts in the beta, didn't refund them after the beta, and it was sponsored by a real money trading website. So it's very much looking like the biggest MMO to come out in 2024 is a pile of horseshit.
Sounds like what was the one that just came out?
The day before.
Day before?
Yeah.
This whole thing sounds so similar to the day before. Yeah. I think anytime we hear like the biggest MMO ever, it's like, no, stop.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, it seemed a little obvious to some people at first, because obviously you notice these assets are all from different stores, different creators and artists and such. So there's a slight mismatch between them. It's not massively obvious.
There's no coherency.
Yeah, exactly. And it's basically, we need a dungeon, download the dungeon pack. We need a skeleton monster, download the skeleton monster pack, and it's from someone else, so the art style's slightly different. It's not massively obvious, but if you're looking for it, you're like, wait a second, that's clearly a different resolution to.
But people were able to clock where, like, what kind of assets they were all pretty quickly.
So in Nuion's video, he goes through a bunch of them, and he's like, yep, I found this one, and literally finds the exact packs that were bought. Some of them are no longer on sale, so they're really old asset packs from like 5 years ago and stuff like that. So the TLDR, for me at least, is if you're interested in the new biggest MMO, don't be, because you're going to get robbed.
Just first, the words, the new biggest MMO, just stop right there. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
Like,
especially
it
from an
like
unknown
that's like the buzzword for scam these days.
Yeah, definitely. Like, always take everything with a pinch of salt when it's marketed so, I suppose, grandiosely, in the regard that it's such a small developer, and they're like, yeah, we've come out of nowhere, we're now going to make the biggest MMO ever.
Yeah, and it seems like there's it's always a brand new developer, and that's funny. It literally sounds like the day before.
A discussion question for you then is, do you think this is becoming a trend where games are purposely making, or developers are purposely making games that are inherently bad, either for the memes like the recent Kong game and things like that, to get people's eyes on it, or marketing it in such a way that it becomes a meme in itself, so people get more eyes on it and things like that?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Shuffleware has always existed.
Yeah.
And after the day before, which was an absolute giant disaster and very public, it's confirmation bias. Oh, this is that. There's always been this shit. Advertising lies to you. That's what it does. Advertising lies to people. You want this? No, I don't. Yeah, you do. They don't lie to you, right? So, no, I don't think it's an epidemic or whatever.
It might not be intentional, if that's what you mean.
Potentially.
So, no, it's intentional. They just want to rip people off and make a fact.
Oh, no. Well, the ripping off, I mean, like, the purposely bad. Is that what you mean?
Oh, no, not purposely bad. I'm just, like, not trying to make something good. Just trying to make something to take money.
This has been a thing that's been going on since, I want to say, around, like, the Wii especially. When, like, that was, like, do you remember, like, when the Wii was out, it was, like, primarily shuffleware. It was so, like, that's it almost like
was the first video game crash on the Atari 2600. There will always be people trying to make just whatever they can.
We're talking about like the influx. Like there was a huge influx, especially when it came to when a lot of games started ending up on disc. I feel like it was a lot more commonplace than when they were still on cartridges. So then that's why you see like because I just remember I worked at GameStop at the time when like the Wii was still a thing. And I just remember like it was like the way of punishing someone, like, hey, go organize the Wii section because of how bad all the shop, like how many games there were on that thing. And it was atrocious. And I don't know if it happened with the Wii, but there was
every generation has this.
Yeah, but like it was a lot back then.
It's probably been more prevalent since digital stores are a thing.
Yes, that's actually where I was going to get to. Like back then, it wasn't so commonplace digitally because PC gaming wasn't as big as it is now because there was more people who had consoles back then.
PC was probably easier because you burn it to discs, you do a mail order thing. I think it's always been shovelware has and will always exist.
Yeah.
They're just using different techniques.
I wouldn't be
advertising.
surprised if there were, like, for example, when we see games like some of these, like, you know, the day before and whatever, Quinfall, whatever, now, there are always going to be people who are brand new developers making the best in the newest MMO. Like there's always going to be scammers.
There's always going to be snake oil sellers.
And the thing is there are indie developers who make intentionally bad games that are like fun bad. Like
True.
So though, and probably in hopes of capitalizing on the meme. But then there's like when it comes to like I don't know, like Gollum and you know King Kong, I don't think those I think they're just like throw shit at the wall. See what's
hold that thought. The developer of the King Kong game, obviously that's a licensed property for a start, so that is something where they're getting eyes on it inherently from that license.
Yeah.
The developer's called Games Mill.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, so like,
Mill.
to shift it slightly further away from like days before, where it's more of just a snake oil scam. Do you think potentially there's going to be an increase, or do you think you've already seen an increase in games where they get a licensed property, so they're guaranteed eyes on it because of that audience? And
there is that because there was the Avatar game that came out not too long ago that was notoriously bad. And I think that a lot of those licensed properties, it's more of a concept of throw shit at the wall, see what sticks. It's probably easier or cheaper for them to get those licenses because let's be real. Avatar: The Last Airbender is not a current it's not popping right now. I mean, people love it. I love it, but it's not like the same with Gollum.
The show's looking sick, by the way. The new Avatar one.
The show does look sick. Yeah. But what I'm talking about is they're taking a lot of these licensed properties. They're not current like trends, so they're probably cheaper for them to obtain and make these cheaper games. And just some people are just they're gonna identify it, they're gonna buy it, and maybe we'll make some money back. And then we have a lot. And where it comes to when it's not so much as the epidemic of like they're purposely bad, people are just going to make content surrounding these bad games, calling it a bad game, and then that's what's going to bring more eyes to it. But I think that's not really the intention. I think it's just, hey, everyone knows Avatar, everyone loves Avatar, let's make an Avatar game, and you know the suckers are they're gonna latch onto this.
I suppose the concern then for me would be that the ones selling these licenses, they've taken a chance on essentially a small or indie studio, only to have it kind of thrown in their faces with the quality of the game.
They don't care.
But it could be bad reputation for that IP. Like it happened with Warhammer for a bit. Like it was a bit of a meme that was like, oh, Warhammer's given their IP to another studio that's made a shit game kind of thing. Like since like the likes of Dark Tide or Fat Shark specifically when they did Vermintide and stuff like that attitude's been turning around. But do you think, like, obviously Gollum is associated with the Lord of the Rings franchise?
I mean, fair, but name a good movie game of a movie.
Chronicles of Riddick was the last one I could think of.
No, movie though.
Oh, a movie.
Yeah, like Butcher Bay you're thinking of, which is really good.
Not off the top
There's
of my
always
head.
going to be slop. There's always going to be a suit going, oh, you want to give me a couple of grand for this? Yeah.
That's just known. That's just, you know, well-known knowledge that any licensed property like a movie to game project is never like those are more bankrolling on like back in the day, at least, like when it was like the old your grandma going to the store and saying like, oh, this is my son's favorite or my grandson's favorite movie, and they buy it, whatever.
Yeah. Go to a dollar store, you'll see Minions tea towels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't really care that much.
That's fine.
Farm it off to anyone.
Our plague on
I just don't think it's an epidemic. I
don't think it's a pandemic or
it's
epidemic
not
or anything
an
like that.
epidemic.
Like, just something that could
there's
become...
always going to be. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's something where it may become something more potentially. Like now,
I think it's going to be more common, because it's so much easier and cheaper for people to be making games, like for these developers to make games like this. And there's always going to be people who do not have the other, like their customer base best interest in mind. And that's why it's like with a lot of movie tie-in games or adaptations, with the exception of a few, they're not really banking on like someone who's actually a gamer waiting. Oh, he didn't do it this time.
There we
Thank
go.
you. But they're not banking on like people who are actual like who actually enjoy gaming to buy these games. They're expecting like the mothers, the grandmothers, and like now, you know, you have. But I guess like the oversaturation kind of helps too with Steam, because like now kids are asking for Steam Cash.
Something to think about then is, again, using Kong as an example. Obviously, that actually ended up getting quite a lot of coverage because of the memes by streamers and influencers. Yeah. Do you think that then resulted in an influx of sales for other people to try it and see how bad it was?
No doubt.
Or like stream attacks.
Kind of like, oh, all the streamers playing this, so loads of people bought it because they were like, is it as bad as the streamers making out? And then it's like, oh, it is.
Well, so that's a topic for a lot of things, like, because it comes in, it's the same for like, you know, hate watching a movie or hate watching a TV show. Is where like the more attention you bring to it because negativity, like, let's be fair, like that gets more attention than positivity.
Rage bait, hate bait.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And the worst thing that you could do is if you see these games that come out, for example, like Kong, we know about like all the memes. I apologize if I keep bumping the desk. I have no room. But anyway, when you have things like that and you see people getting upset about it, like, why are we letting like all these developers release these bad games? When you're making content on it or streaming it, you're part of that you're propping it up. I don't want to say part of the problem. I let me correct myself on that. It's not helping to squash that kind of quality, those kind of games coming out. Like a company like, or what is it? Publishing house, Game Mill? Is that what it is?
Games Mill. I think it's just Games Mill, isn't it?
No, are they a publisher or a developer?
Oh, they're a developer.
The developer?
Yeah.
Well, no, like. No,
yeah, it's a bit on the nose, the name, isn't it?
I know.
Like
I know. When I first heard it, I was thinking Puppy Mills. So
right.
It's the same shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if you're not I respect people like, you know, content creators making the game, bringing attention, like, hey, this is bad. Don't go play it.
To be fair, get that bag. I'm not actually against that. I'm just concerned that these devs are going to see that tactic and be like, ooh, I
encourage, get your bag. Yeah. Go, if it's a bad game, you want to go out and play it. And at least if you're telling people don't buy it, because it's bad, because that, unfortunately, with the size of some of the platforms, you have younger people watching, and they're going to go out of their way to play it for the meme.
Yeah.
And that's fine if they want to do that. But realistically, the adverse effect is that Games Mill is getting money from it, and they're getting more attention, and they're going to keep doing it. Yeah,
exactly. I suppose that's my concern, that people are going to go, oh, look how much like more they sold, or maybe Games Mill themselves are like, look how much more we sold because we got all these streamers playing a stupidly bad game.
Look at how much publicity they got. Look, just from the amount of people talking about Gollum, we talked about Gollum.
Yep.
And it's terrible, but negativity gets more. Yeah, gets more.
It's more what? That development studio got shut down.
What, Games Mill?
Oh, did they?
Hate bait does not work. Look at Velma.
Did Games Mill get shut down?
The one that made Gollum.
Oh,
that
really?
one did, yeah. They got like, I don't think they were quite shut down, but they were substantially downsized.
I also think you both might be putting a bit too much credence on people watching a streamer play a terrible game, and how many of them are actually buying the game for the meme, because the meme is watching it. If the game was like,
if they're buying it for the meme.
I mean, like, let's have a gander at how many reviews are on.
I have no issue if a streamer wants to play a bad game for the meme. That is going to, a result of that is that people might want to.
I don't think it would be a measurable amount of
sales. Probably not. It's not going to make it like the best-selling game.
No, but I don't think it's going to be even worth making a hate bait game to maybe get some of those. Because like, if it was a bad game that was fun, people will play it and go, "Oh, this is ugly shit," but it's fun. Like I play Bethesda games. We all do. That was funny. Come on.
Sorry, I was looking.
No,
for
I misheard.
I just
Yeah,
don't think people are going to be like, oh, this is terrible. Like they're watching the streamer play it and they're having a good time. It's like The Room. The Room is not good. If you watch it with
but there's a difference
friends,
between
it's
fun bad and bad, and that's
I just don't think it translates into sales. I think
Okay, that's fine.
the audience is too discerning. I mean, we're not that discerning as gamers go, but I think they're too discerning to buy into that.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Or to any measurable degree, at least. I'm sure there is some people going, "Oh, I'm buying because of shit," but nothing like,
no, there's
"Oh,
always going to
I'm going to
be
make money on this."
there could be a huge I mean there could, but I don't think but like I said, I don't think these are games that are purposely made bad for the sake of being, to like buy, profit off of or rage baiting. I don't think they are. I think they're just poorly made games trying to capitalize on a well-known franchise or IP, and people are going to buy it, and if it happens to get shit on publicly or
Name
make rounds,
recognition for
then
sure make sales.
yeah, they're going to make sales. That's it. So that's it. That's why I pointed out that these are not IPs that are they're not popping right now. Like, I mean, what I heard the most about with the Avatar game, I'm just using that as an example because of how I remember just the response for that one was that we have never gotten a really good Avatar game, and it's seeing it pop up again, especially conveniently around the time when the TV show is about to come out. I would love to see a really good Avatar: The Last Airbender game, but if that's how the IP,
they're making an Avatar: The Last Airbender game.
There was one that came out not too long ago that was terrible.
I didn't hear about that.
Huh.
I thought you were talking about the Avatar fucking game.
No, no. I have to remind myself to say The Last Airbender. I apologize.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No. I was completely sideswiped.
No, because I actually I reminded myself to say it that time because I just remembered that there was an Avatar game too. It gets me kind of tripped up, and I just
so when you were saying the show, you meant the Airbender.
I meant the show. Okay. So there was. I'm so sorry. That was my fault. I confused myself apparently too. I was referring to the Last Airbender IP because I don't even want to call it just the Last Airbender because that was a shitty movie.
I didn't know there was a game. It's bad, is it?
It's bad.
I don't need to know there's a game.
It came out not too long ago, and same shit. I watched a critical video, and when he played it, like I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I showed it to my husband when we first started dating, and like anybody who hasn't seen it, well, they should.
Yeah, my girlfriend sat me through it, and I'm like, I don't want to watch anime kid show thing.
But it's good.
Like, oh, this is good.
It's good.
So like,
but it's good.
I don't know. Was it Games Mill who got who managed to get the license for it? But there was a game that came out like just a couple months ago. Maybe I'm getting all like my timelines mixed up.
That was the other universe.
Mandela effect in action. But it was not too long ago, and I remember watching of it, like having the same response, like, oh, there's an Avatar game, hell yeah. And it's shit, it's bad, it's so that's a IP that's just notoriously mishandled. Like, look, I mean, that's why I have high hopes for the TV show, but I gotta manage those expectations because we already had a shitty movie from M. Night Shyamalan, and the game was bad.
Every movie from M. Night Shyamalan is,
I know.
apart from that first one where his concept worked.
Yeah, the one time.
Bruce Willis one.
Yeah.
It was great.
Spoilers.
Every movie is just
twist.
There's a spoilers. There's a twist in any piece of media. Oh my god! Really? Ruined it.
Avatar: The Last Airbender: Quest for Balance was the game. It's the game. Yeah, it is Game Mill.
Right. So they seem to get their hands on relatively expensive IPs, I would say. Like,
yeah, but
they're a
the MonsterVerse is
They're
kind of doing well at the moment, especially with the new Kong movie. That's not even from them, but it's just made the popularity of Godzilla in the MonsterVerse like explode quite a bit.
I feel like it's. I don't know. That was just my guess. If it's an expensive IP, then well, there goes my theory out the window.
And with Gollum, I think it was less intentional anyway. But I was just looking. They did manage to sell 10,000 copies, and that was with them in my.
That's 10,000 too many.
That's 10,000 too many for something that I think, if you had the intention of making it bad, just to flip it.
Yeah.
10,000 copies is $400,000 in revenue. Is that why Games Mill is Games Mill in revenue? Profit. Yeah, I looked it up on an article, Gamer something. I've got rid of it now.
That's not enough to make a game, though.
It is if you're a crappy developer like Game Mill making like
but
asset flips and stuff.
I don't know.
Gollum looks like
they're great, high quality.
Gollum suffers from they were making a proper game and they ran out of time and money.
The thing
is,
is,
shifted out.
The reason Gollum is so bad is because it didn't look like that's what occurred. Like. Or people were so critical of it because it was supposed to be what people anticipated was going to be AAA and stuff like that, and then it came out.
It was also ugly.
It was ugly as hell.
It was ugly as hell.
Yeah.
Shovelware thrives on people not knowing it's shovelware, I suppose.
Yeah,
that's the difference, isn't it?
Well, the PR. Like they don't want any of it, and they just want to put their game out, and nobody talk about it, and they make some quiet money, and then they do it again and again. Steam is also just there's so many releases constantly on Steam. It's so easy to put games out on.
Both those games as well are like the worst rated games on Steam. So they get a lot of attention from that as well, which again could potentially bring it to the licensed IP. And I suppose the concern I was alluding to earlier is, could that scare studios or licensees rather from approaching smaller studios? And then
but it should make them more discerning, right?
Oh, certainly, yes. Like they should definitely look and be like, who are we selling our license to? Game Mill?
Dude,
really?
But it's crazy because it's not. When it comes to some of these licenses. Because it's not like, I know I bring the things back to things like cosmetics a lot, but it is like relevant.
Yeah, 100%.
But there's because it's not just video games and shit like this happens. And I'm just gonna fixate on just Avatar: The Last Airbender again because it's just most common, it's most recent that I could think of.
Yeah.
Is there's also like cosmetic companies that they'll get the licenses for some of these franchises. Like movies, TV shows, whatever, and they'll make these curated collections, and you see it like Disney hands them out like candy, dude. Yeah. It's like it's nuts how many times because I follow a lot of and I'm just using cosmetics in this example but it's very similar.
Yeah.
I look at all these new releases coming out, and it's like we have this this new curated collection, but there will be like 4 different Disney princesses. Or there was this brand called ColourPop I sometimes buy from, and they had an Avatar: The Last Airbender. They did Naruto, they do Disney all the time. They just had a Twilight one, and I'm just like, Jesus, how but it's not even indie brands can get them. Like I saw an indie brand that someone recommended to me, and they had a really sick Silent Hill collection, and it was licensed from Konami.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, I don't think they really think about where these licenses are being, where they're going to.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it looks good on on the owners. like Disney is you see them, it's everywhere. It's oversaturated as hell. And
100%.
But
for the most part, people handing out licenses don't care about the quality. They just this is how much it costs. Okay, we don't really care what happens to it because it's not an official product, so we can distance ourselves. It's almost free for them,
right?
Unless it blows up, I suppose.
That's what
again.
I don't think where they're getting the licenses from they care. They're just fine. Go ahead.
Like, you want to use a known IP? Sure.
Gollum hasn't ruined Lord of the Rings for anyone, and no one's like, "Oh, fucking Lord of the Rings, they did that shit." Like, so
because we also
you could argue Rings of Power might have.
Is it Warner Brothers who owns?
But Rings of Power is different. They tried really hard to make something good.
True.
Yeah.
They just didn't have.
But even
I thought it was okay. By the way,
Rings of Power also doesn't influence or doesn't at all affect the original trilogy. So like we are able to separate our minds from from that.
Yeah.
So we can't, because there's really good the Shadow of Mordor. We have other good examples of excellent movie tie-ins, or it's the same as for Shadow of Mordor movie. It's
kind of like
I think
kind of
humans
but,
can.
like, there are excellent tie-ins to Lord of the Rings, video game wise, and obviously we have the movies. Just because there's something bad using that license that's not directly from, is it Warner Brothers?
it is Warner Brothers that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was asking because I don't want to sound like a ding dong, but yeah, it doesn't reflect that poorly on Warner Brothers.
Oh yeah, the Hobbit movies. The first one was bad.
Those are
It's actually
terrible.
okay, but it's not great. I wouldn't watch it again.
Dude, I would never put myself through that again. Those hurt me.
The first one was awful. But yeah, I think people, double-edged sword, right? People are aware that this is not like, if you bought a flannel that's got Mickey Mouse on it and it falls apart, are you going to be like, fucking Disney?
God damn Disney!
Not are you. And I think the people who are selling the licenses know that and just literally don't care.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's just an interesting market now because it's all digital, and I think it's just easier to like, because some of the, especially with Steam sales, like a lot of these games will end up going like pretty dirt cheap for a second. People will buy them. But like before, I just remember the shovelware, like in like these movie tie-ins, TV show tie-ins, even just familiar branding, just like anything. Like there was like Burger King video games at one point on the Xbox,
and a Pepsi game.
And a lot those though, from what I understand, you can only get those from Burger King. But I think a lot of what back then were capitalizing on parents not knowing what the quality is, just brand recognition.
Yeah.
And I think it still carries over now. Just when it comes to Steam, it's just so much easier. Like everything's just in one place for people to find.
This might be a hot take, but I hope that doesn't change.
I don't think it should change. I mean, if anything.
Okay, so you got the Terminator game made by the people who made the RoboCop game, like at complete unknowns. Like it's it's not a triple A game, it's barely a double A game, but they tried hard. And if people would, whoever's selling the license goes, oh well, you haven't really done anything high profile, no, we're not going to sell it to you, and then they don't make that game, and those games were actually really good.
Yeah,
they resonated.
So I hope it doesn't change.
I don't think it should change. I don't think it should be difficult, because you never know. There could be an opportunity for like one of these licenses to be picked up by an actual quality indie developer.
Yeah.
Or you could, and honestly, like if you want to look at it in this way, this could even serve as a lesson for some people, like not just buying into a recognizable brand without like doing any research beforehand. And that's the same for like, just in the past, like just because you recognize like, oh, I know Gollum, or I love Lord of the Rings, I'm going to buy that. And it turns out to be a shitty game. Well, now you got to know where you get your money.
That is anti-consumer though, isn't it? But that's on them. And I guess it's up to us, basically, as content creators, to point out the bullshit, like this guy that tore apart that MMO.
100%.
So,
no, I mean, that's
the more that keeps happening, the more people will do that.
People don't rely on game reviewers like IGN and all that anymore. They rely on content creators to be telling them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So it doesn't hurt to have, like, that's why I was saying like earlier, I don't get your bag. If you're a content creator, you're a streamer, you do YouTube, whatnot, and you want to make content about, or like make a review about some of these crappy games and meme on it if you want, entirely fine. That's your prerogative. Make your money, that's fine. And as long as you're informing, that it is bad, which I mean most of the time they are.
That's where the content comes from, isn't it?
I know. So I have no issue. That's to like clarify, like earlier, like I'm not putting a lot of responsibility on the streamers or the.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Literally dude, their goal at the end of the day is to make content and their money. Yeah. And go for it, dude.
They're pointing out how bad it is.
As long as that's the only thing I care is as long as they're not going like as long as it's not someone making a video on Gollum and be like, by the way, guys, you should get this.
Yeah,
we're speaking about
like,
this about content creators maybe fudging truth about a game that's bad. We got Palworld coming up, right?
I was about to say this is going to be a great segue. So just to summarize, don't buy Quinfall. No. Hopefully things like games will not start just literally pulling out IPs out of their asses and then continuing to make inherently bad games for the sake of memes and sales. But yeah, so a game that many suspected was going to be a scam game isn't a scam game.
Yeah, I was hearing about this last night actually.
Yeah, so Palworld is actually, I don't want to say reviewing, but is being received pretty damn well. So for those not familiar with Palworld, it is essentially Ark Survival Evolved bumped uglies with Pokemon. And except it doesn't have the bad optimization of Ark. In fact, it's, aside from like some clipping and your character model not closing their eyes during sleeping and stuff like that, is actually working quite well for people.
Some people don't close their eyes when they sleep, Ryan.
That's true. That's true. I should be more inclusive.
How do you know if I do?
I just feel
the
like
bugs that
you
I've
are an
seen
eyes
are
closer.
quite amusing.
Sorry, say again.
The bugs I've seen are quite amusing.
Oh, I love funny bugs.
The only footage I've seen is on sponsored streams.
I've seen it on non-sponsored streams.
I haven't seen it on non-sponsored stream, but I'm not looking out for that game.
Yeah.
Like I watched Pirate Software point out that you can catch trainers with your Pokeball,
Right.
and anything that's in your Pokeball is counted as a pal.
Right.
And if you've got pals in a Pokeball, you can butcher them for resources. So you can technically butcher other trainers you see in the world.
See, that's fantastic. That is a funny bug.
I've been wanting to check it out since I heard about it last night. I'm not buying. When I get back home.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It came out, I think.
Oh, it's on Game Pass?
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think it came out yesterday.
Right now,
at midnight.
Get Game Pass.
Peachy?
You will own nothing and you will be happy, pal. I know.
I just had surgery. Let me recover.
No,
I'm using that as my excuse.
Okay.
I'm using that as my excuse to have
Change the green screen to Ubisoft or some shit.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Don't say that name
don't
here.
actually, but that's a meme. Don't be weird.
Nah, it's true. It's true. But yeah, it's being like I said, I don't want to say reviewed. I haven't actually looked at the reviews, but I have watched a number of streamers, especially since it went live yesterday, and they're having a great time. It does seem like it's got a very similar to similar vibe to Ark in terms of when you're playing.
Ark, so I've been curious about it.
Yeah, so one of the great things about Ark is when you were playing with other people, you just ended up doing silly shit. And you're like, oh, look, that looks like a dinosaur that's very much going to eat us. Oh, it is eating us. Oh, shit. And, you know, the comedy and stuff would come from that. In a similar vein to, say, Lethal Company. Exactly, 100%. So you've got that aspect, but on less jankier software. And it's got the whole collect your Pokemon thing. And it seems to have quite a bit of depth to it as well. It's not particularly shallow. It's got some quality of life things that had to be modded into survival games such as Ark. And I believe this afternoon, it may have changed since then, but they hit 779,000 concurrent viewers in the most concurrently played game on Steam as of today. I don't know if that number's
got
going
a
up
publisher for that now.
I believe it's self-published, but I may be wrong. I'll quickly double check. Have either of you played it yet? So you said, Pope, you want to play it, and you...
I was going to check it out when I get home first, because I'm playing on a laptop right now, and it's not really the most conducive. And I was actually telling Peachy earlier this week, like, it's been difficult to play PC.
Sorry.
I know.
Self-published.
No, like, it's been difficult to play games on PC with my wrist.
They got some good PR on there because a lot of big content creators are making. I mean, we all saw the meme like 2 years ago or something. Like, oh yeah, I'd play that.
Yeah,
but now I'm like, I don't actually want to play that.
I kind of
have
do,
it on my wish
but
list.
it's definitely going to be something where I'd want to play it with a bunch of people, like Fully Rendered does Palworld or something like that.
My problem is I've got 264 hours in Ark, and I can't fucking stand it. And this is Ark, isn't it? It's Ark with Pokemon.
Oh my god, it's so
potentially
cute.
better Ark. Like,
I mean, you couldn't get much worse. 264 hours. I'm allowed to say that. Okay.
Yeah, no.
It's true. It's very true. I'm in a similar boat. I've definitely sunk. Like literally, when it came out, I think I sunk like 2 weeks solid into Ark when it first came out. I did enjoy it. There was always this layer of like this miasma of jank to it. Even watching it.
Miasma jank. That's a great way of wording it.
Well, no, even when you were playing it and nothing was going wrong, you would look at it, the character models, the assets and whatnot within the game, and still think, something's off. Like I'm having a good time, but am I dead? Kind of thing. Like something felt off. Whereas with Palworld, I haven't, like I said, played it myself, so I can't really say from a first person perspective, but from watching others play it, it just seems to be doing good and could potentially develop further into a much more substantial game. So I'll certainly be keeping an eye on it. And
I've not
give it
heard
a gander.
anyone
Look at it when I get
say.
home. Yeah, I'll take a look at it when I get home because I'm looking. I just pulled up the Steam page and I thought I had it on my wish list, but I guess I just didn't do that. But it does look like a lot of fun. And then with Ark, I remember I was late to the party when hearing about Ark. And then when I was interested in checking it out, everyone I talked to is a bit like Peachy, like, I got enough hours in that. And it's like, oh.
Right.
So
I didn't like Ark while I was playing it.
You just couldn't believe that it was a bug. It just wouldn't let you
But you
leave.
put 200 some odd hours in it, and I hated it the whole time.
I legitimately did. But no, I've not heard anyone say like specifically bad things about the game. Yeah, people have been like, oh, there's some jank, there are bugs, and there's people like, it's not for me. Like, it's not for me either.
100%.
Yeah.
But I've not heard anyone being like, no, this is just bad, and people are just talking shit because their favorite content creator is playing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, TLDR on that one then is looks like it's
Nintendo
actually
gonna have
good.
a field day.
Looks like a lot of fun.
It's on Game Pass if you want to try it now, and if you don't like Game Pass like Peachy, then you can get it on Steam for
Do what you want with your
$26
money.
right now?
$26. Okay.
Wait, let me double check. Don't call me a liar.
Oh,
$26.99. Yeah, $27. I lied.
I was just reminded about a crafting game, cozy game, based on League of Legends. It went up on pre-order yesterday. It's called it begins with a B by Narek. No, it's made by the people who made Graveyard Keeper.
Okay.
And they've got the license from Riot. I think it's published by Riot actually.
Yeah,
and
Riot
it's a
Forge,
cozy.
I think is usually when they license it out to like smaller developers. Like,
That's the name of the publisher.
Yeah.
Where's my wish list? It's under store, isn't it? It's called. I'm so sorry. This was supposed to be a quick Bandle Tale.
Bandle
Tell us more.
Let me take.
It looks great. It's pixel art. It's made by the people who did Graveyard Keeper, which is highly regarded as a cozy game because it's got that twist to it because you're a graveyard keeper. But this is based on the League of Legends IP, and it's all the Yordles living in a city, and there's fishing mini games, and you can craft a Teemo hat.
So adorable.
It looks adorable, and it's League of Legends, so I kind of want to check this out.
I've
Riot
never
Forge has
played
been
League of
doing
Legends
well.
my entire life.
Yeah,
Well, they did that Nunu game, didn't they? I didn't hear much about that.
I'm not sure about a new one, but I think there was another one like Rune Maker or something.
Oh my
like
god,
that.
this is precious. So
I think the card game that
Oh,
they
the
did.
card game, yeah, that
that
I
one
think
falls
that did
under.
okay.
Yeah,
The Ruined King was really
I
that was
good.
it, Rune King.
what is it?
Yeah,
But
so there's been a few. So say again, Paul.
No, no. I'm just saying that I get like a little bit of a like Secret of Mana vibe from some of these these sprites.
Right,
Looks
yeah.
precious.
It does
looks
look really cool.
absolutely precious.
Yeah, I'm
Convergence and the Mage Seeker, both very positive on Steam as well. So
the Riot Forge,
they care about their IP.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like the Riot Forge stuff always seems to be paying like homage, I would say, to the actual lore of the League of Legends universe. And I think we discussed a few episodes ago that Riot are integrating these games into like the canonical universe and stuff like that, and they're trying to like straighten it out so like everything's going to fit into the MMO that's coming out. Arcane fits into the universe properly rather than having loads of standalone universes. So they're just trying to give it cohesion. So the fact that they have so much confidence in these third parties that are using their IP and then going, you know what, you did so great with that story that we're going to put it in our universe. I think that's telltale, as it were, of a good choice, for lack of a better phrase.
I've just heard this in chat, and I've got no source for it, so pinch of salt. Our CEO seems to be going full into generative AI.
Who?
Palworld CEO.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. The devs come across as people that would be into like Web3 and all that shit. So yeah, I kind of
Okay,
see that.
my researchers are on the case, and by researcher I mean my chat.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You're gonna find me stores. It was that game that came out recently, City Builder
Yeah.
resource management game. That during the beta, they were like all the NPCs and talking and story and stuff was all AI generated.
Mhm.
They rolled that back for release. I actually thought that they were just using AI as the tool to. Here we go.
To
We'll
create.
just have words here, put the game together, and then
Right.
we'll make it properly. But apparently, they were going to go full AI with that,
Yeah.
but they didn't. They didn't do that, which I think is a good choice.
Yeah, AI is a complex topic. It is something I would like
Great
to
tool.
talk about, but the topic on its own, like how it affects jobs, how it affects consumerism, capitalism, it's very deep. And how
Yeah, I have a lot of personal opinions about it, considering how it's like impacted even my own field, like what I work for my job. 'Cause
it's something I would like to talk about, but not on this episode because I think it could probably
yeah, we would have to
be
have
an
like
episode.
a whole long discussion. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
a whole long episode. That could be a Patreon episode.
It could
Oh,
be.
we
It
could
could
get
be.
ChatGPT to write the script.
Or we could do that, and then we can just say that it was our own content the entire time. And then put it behind a paywall, patreon.com/fully rendered. But joking, of course. But should we? Do you want to pick a filler topic, or should we jump into break? How long have you two got? I can't words today.
Oh, we were on AI. Do you want to cover that last one on the filler?
Yes, I suppose.
Oh
that would
yeah,
be
might
good.
as well, right?
So it's, for those who don't know, Wizards of the Coast have admitted, after getting caught and being told that it wasn't AI, that they've used AI in one of their marketing materials. They previously said they would not use AI in marketing materials. They then posted a picture. It was to, I think, showcase like 5 special cards or a special pack or something like that. And it was very obviously AI generated. People called that out. The person in
We're not talking like wood textures or something like that, which you know, you
Like
use
actual
AI
art.
for.
yeah, not like background fill or anything like that. Just a completely AI generated image rather than using generative AI to like create a bush because it wasn't big enough or something like that. Like
Yeah.
full blown AI. So they said no, it was created by a real person. And
Yeah, they
everyone was
doubled
like,
down first of all, didn't
yeah,
they?
they doubled down, going, no, this is created by a real person. We got a person to do this. Then they said that person was a third-party vendor when they admitted that it was in fact AI. And they were like, oh, we went with a third-party vendor. We didn't know they used AI. It's like, how could you not know? Someone surely had to proof that tweet before it went out in the marketing material.
Yeah,
How
right?
did they not know? It was so blatantly so.
Didn't know.
But to then
They
double
blackly
down.
lost card artists.
They knew.
Yes.
Some card artists were like, what the fuck? This needs to change, and didn't. But one of them, I can't remember the name of the artist. There's a really interesting video by Pleasant Kenobi, which is where I found about all the information about it from. But one of the artists went, I'm done.
Yes.
Because like the way they are using AI is not only art theft, which it is going to destroy his livelihood and his chosen field of skill that he has been practicing and learning himself. Like, yeah,
it's definitely sketchy, and it's particularly in the art industry, as it were. Wacom, likewise, there's a similar thing. They're like, yeah, we've used AI art in our marketing materials when their product is
Wacom, really?
yeah, and their product
Oh
is
my
making
God.
graphics tablets for artists, and it's like,
That's so
again,
bad.
bit on the nose. So yeah, it's the current trend. It hopefully will pass by as swiftly as NFTs did.
NFTs. I knew you were gonna say it.
Yeah, hopefully they're definitely dead.
It was
That industry is gone.
NFTs.
When we get past this whole thing of people trying to use it for end product, then we can see what it's really gonna do.
Yeah,
Right.
and when it's actually developed to a point where it is actual artificial intelligence, where I think the use of AI for stuff that's just algorithms for the most part is also
Training on other arts, yeah. I mean, that's very short-sighted as well, because eventually everything's going to look like AI art because they'll be learning on AI art, and it'll just turn into a big fucking.
everyone will have multiple fingers beyond 10. Yeah.
I wish I had multiple.
Oh,
fingers.
actually, on AliExpress,
That
you can
just makes me
buy.
jealous.
on AliExpress, you can buy a little plastic finger ring that goes above your finger.
Yeah.
So you get an extra finger. And if
Oh
you ever
my
get caught on
God.
CCTV, you can say, no, that's AI generated.
Like, look, that's not me.
It's just adding to unrealistic body standards. I swear.
That
Like,
as
I
well.
can't have
That as well.
10 fingers. I'm sorry. On one hand.
Peachy and I, between us, have 2 beards, but we should have 2 beards each. What's going on? It's just how it works.
Wait, is this how humans look?
Yes.
I've never been outside. I just sit on Chat GPT having a conversation.
Shall we cut to break?
Sure.
Yes, okay. So we're going to be back in around about 5 to 10 minutes. Go get yourselves a drink, stretch your legs, stare out a window rather than the window of your PC. Rest your eyes and whatnot. And then we'll be back to talk some other topics like Nexon, our favorite developer, and Twitch, and many other things. Mike's, of course,
So excited.
will be hard. And welcome back, everyone, to the second half of the Fully Rendered Podcast, episode 24. Jumping into our first topic. So we've talked about Nexon a fair bit as of late, because they obviously came out with David Diver, which was a good game. And then there was some...
You just hate that.
Yeah, you do. You're like, you bastards. Prince of Persia, the new Prince of Persia pain game by Ubisoft is apparently really, really good. I hope they do take more like risks like that and go, yeah,
I've been wanting to check that out. I love Metroidvania, like side scrollers. It looks pretty good.
It does.
The only time I've ever said like I'm stoked for a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, like even I'm like, oh, it's tempting, but I'm
It's
not going
tempting,
to.
it's very-
I'm not going to breach my boycott of it. So
I was
Yeah, I know.
stoked for Skull and Bones 7 years ago.
that's still coming out. I think they've just cut their losses at this point. They're like, we can't make the game that people wanted.
They
then-
legally have to release the game,
Yeah,
like legally.
yeah. And we're going to get the
Oh,
Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake or whatever anyway, so people will just drop it for that, I assume. But
probably.
the Nexon, they were recently basically audited by the Korean FTC. That's not me not knowing the name, that's literally what it's called, the Korean FTC. In the UK, we've got the ASA, the Advertising Standards Agency, and a couple of other regulators. But basically, they've been audited by a regulator who was looking into the Korean version of Maple's story. And it turns out, for quite some years now, they've straight up lied about some of the gacha mechanics that they have in the game.
Oh,
So
That's not good.
they've got these essentially loot boxes that you can purchase, and there's a chance to
Right.
get the best things in the game. Except there isn't. There is no chance to get the best things in the game. They just advertise that there is. Yeah. They've got a patent for like algorithmic stuff that can also change your chances of getting something in a box based on your friends list, how much you play, how much the people on your friends list play, stuff like that. They scan lots of like what would otherwise be irrelevant stats to make sure that you're not basically getting too much loot from these boxes. So not only were they lying about the fact that you could get all the best loot, or there's a chance to get it, there isn't a chance to get it, and the rates that they advertise for the other things are also completely wrong because they dynamically change. So they were fined $9 million, or the equivalent of. In the time that they were doing these loot
That's
boxes,
a lot of money.
it is a lot of money. In the time that they were making these loot boxes,
how much?
they profited from these loot boxes $420,000. So of course they're not going to do it again, obviously.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's not good.
that's 2% ish. Yeah,
ish.
ish, about 2%
It makes it softens the blow when you add the ish.
ish. But yeah, so they were
Wait,
fined
they were fined 9 million and they made 400.
420.
Yeah.
420.
Jesus.
That's what's that European country that if you get a speeding ticket, they'll base it on your income.
No idea.
What?
Yeah, so like some people can get fined like 20 quid for speeding because of their income, and then if someone who's really rich with a really fast car does speeding, they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be a percentage of your earnings.
To be fair, that makes
Oh my
sense
God.
because otherwise rich people would just see it as a tax more than
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
crime is a tax on the poor.
A lot. Yeah.
Sweden, thank you. No, Finland. It's either Sweden or Finland.
A country
It's a
know.
Norwegian company.
in Northern Europe.
That's not fair. I've gotten so many speeding tickets in my life. If it was only $20,
Just like, yeah,
No,
sure,
but
put it on my
it's
tab.
like a percentage, so it would hurt you as much as it hurts.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
get that. I get that. That makes sense. It
Yeah.
just when you say it like that, I'm like, ha. Sounds.
Sorry,
Well,
that was a tangent.
No,
No,
it's
I-
fine.
it was
It's fine.
good
I
to
learned
know.
something new today. Thank you,
Yeah,
PG.
likewise.
Like
likewise.
that's a crazy amount of money to be, but that's a really bad thing that they were doing.
And that was only
Well,
looking
yeah.
into that
If there's
specific
one
thing.
way of saying of making them learn their lesson, like that's a huge fine. They're not going to.
Are they like auditing them for other stuff now?
I don't know if they are. I believe they've alluded that because when they came out with their statement, the Korean FTC, they were like, "This is what we were investigating specifically, and this is what we found. This may potentially lead to other like audits of other things." But yeah, they've basically looked at like documents for the past like 5 or so years. I believe Korean Maple Story has been out for 8 years, I want to say. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to find out what other things Nexon have done.
Is that fine? Like, is that an accrued amount from like how many years they've been doing it, or how many instances? That seems like because I mean it's what they did is bad. So don't when I say this, like obviously I'm not meaning like to downplay it, but like that seems like an insane amount in comparison to how much they profited off of it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
feels like
I mean that's the point. I feel like the point
it?
of fines like that when you're doing something that shady, that it should be, you know, it definitely should be a form of punishment so that you don't do it again. Not like a small like slap on the wrist where you're like, yeah, we got fined like a couple thousand, but we're fine. We'll just do it again.
And that's what I was saying. It was like, oh yeah, of course they're not going to do that again. You know, eye roll.
Yeah, no,
It's
are they
a
going to be
slap
all
on the
for it
wrist.
again?
But that unfortunately,
9 million is not a slap on the wrist if they earn 420,000.
That's why I'm asking. Like, is that like an accumulated amount from like over the years, or how much
420. Was it 420 million? Bear with me.
Oh,
They made a lot more. They made a lot more than they were fined.
This
Apologies.
things.
Let me just double check.
Oh.
All right, so they make that much, and they just, like tech companies do in Europe, they're like, yeah, we'll keep doing this, and we'll just pay the fine.
Let me just bring it back up.
Well, it sounds like it's a fine that they are like really trying to hammer home that they don't want them doing it.
Yeah,
like a lot, because you're right. That's because that happens a lot with like over here in the States, where like it's, you know, someone who maybe works in finances or something like that, like banks or whatnot, and they get like a huge fine, and then it's like, oh well, but we're still gonna do it.
So yeah, it was a 550 billion won, which is approximately $418 million.
Jeez, okay, that completely changes shit.
Okay, that changes. Okay, that really changes everything, because I thought that.
Apologies. That was all me.
420,000 for.
Yeah, that was my bad.
That's what I was. That's where I was confused, because it sounded like
420 million.
That's a lot. That fine is now make it too little.
For audio listeners, Brian is nodding emphatically. Like, yes, that is right.
Yeah, I was
That's
about
a slap
to
on
say
the wrist that I was referring to. Apologies.
if it was only 420,000 for 5 million, whatever the fine is, sounded a little bit ludicrous.
That was between 2010 and 2021. So that's also excluding the last year. Absolutely.
Because then they're just going to keep doing it if that's the case.
Okay, so law has some funny rules. Is that the max fine that the Korean FTC, whatever they're called?
No idea.
Just the Korean FTC.
Because it could be like, oh, this is the max fine we can give you.
I know it's the largest fine they've ever given out.
So it could be that, and they're powerless to do more. But if they're invested, because if you keep doing something, you've just been.
But didn't say that they were going to do further investigations? So if that's the max they could do, that's the max they can find for that particular offense, who's to say what other fines will be accrued in other facets?
Yeah, because that's specifically
but who's
for
to
that
say
mechanic.
the other facets aren't earning 490 million?
Well, they have 490 million they could draw from.
The way I see it, it's a common story amongst regulatory bodies in various countries, be you a developed country or not, it's always something that feels like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And I don't know the
It's not
legality
enough.
behind it. I don't know if it's a lack of foresight to be able to go through all of that auditing, go, yes, this is anti-consumer, this is like ripping people off. We're going to charge you millions of dollars or one or whatever, and that sounds like a huge amount. But in reality,
I don't know how the laws work in Korea either, so I'm not. Spoiler, guys, I'm not Korean.
yeah.
Does anyone know what the Korean FTC is called? Worms, you went to Korea. What are they called?
The Korean FTC.
It's just the Korean FTC.
Yeah, that's what I was saying at the
literally
beginning.
what
They're the
okay.
KFTC.
Oh, I thought you were just giving, someone stupid like myself a reference.
No, they're literally the Korean FTC. But,
So that's the biggest fine they've ever given. That kind of tracks as they've reached the limit of how they can fine. But FTCs can change laws, right?
Yeah, because I know here there's a lot of it changes with the FTCs, especially in regards to just influencer marketing. So they're pretty much they're subject to change. They could be changing the policies, and if it is the largest fine, they're probably that's probably what's incentivizing the audit is to see where else they can find fouls.
it does
Yeah.
beg
I mean,
the
it's
question,
changed
though.
because they're just going, oh, if you pay $9 million, you can break the law and in 490
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
So unless that maybe possibly, I don't know. I don't want to try to think I can
It does,
figure out what they're thinking. But if they're doing further audits, then that maybe they can, penalize them somewhere else.
Hopefully.
Maybe that's what they're looking at.
Yeah, hopefully it draws
that's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
eyes to
money.
it, because it does beg the question: if a company as large as Nexon, who are more likely to be audited, are willing to take those risks, how prevalent is it in the industry? Is it something that's just
It's
particularly
no doubt
prevalent
super
in
prevalent.
East Asia? Is it something that's prevalent throughout the globe? I don't think every developer that has gacha mechanics is going to be taking the piss like that, but how many are at the same time? Do we know? Would we hazard a
gacha
guess?
gacha games are especially popping in Asia. So
They're clearly very profitable.
yeah, crazy.
490 million.
Sorry, 420. Remember, 420 is the meme. That's
a
what
lot
got
of
me
playing.
fumbled with
Oh,
the
yeah,
number.
that's the problem
number.
here.
No, I just
That's
want
a
to
lot of
clarify the meme. Respect the meme, Peachy.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
What did I do?
I'm sorry, forgive me.
Insane.
Profoundly large
Peachy and I
amount of
do
money.
look a lot alike. It's
do.
very easy to make this up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do
we
pull
get-
off the buzz cut better. Yeah.
Thank you. No.
Moving on then to slightly sadder but intriguing news. I think there's a lot of perspectives that we can all bring to this conversation, and perhaps that we haven't all considered as individuals. But Twitch, as part of an Amazon incentive anyway, it's not just Twitch. Prime Video got hit as well, and I think something else. Prime Studios, the ones actually making the shows, like Rings of Power, for example, they had lays off. But Twitch laid off 500 staff in the last week or so. They had got rid of a few hundred last year as well. So compared to this time last year, they've lost about 50% of their staff.
Wow.
How are we feeling about that?
I mean, didn't they hire a lot more during COVID? A legitimate question.
I believe they did increase
Because I feel like
the
a
staff,
lot of streaming companies just
tech in general.
tech in general, overhired during that time, and unfortunately, that is something to be expected.
Companies overhire all the time.
No, I know. If every company I've worked for, whenever they've overhired, they always do layoffs. So I mean, but
So
we know the
Clancy-
breakdown.
I know
positions.
Clancy said he streamed about it, and I do think that was a great move on his part to stream and discuss where his thoughts were on the layoffs and the fact that Twitch isn't profitable.
We've
Which
known that for years.
We've known that for years,
But
and
he
I think
outright said it. I'm very interested to see what his bosses
I like him.
did with that.
I like the guy. I think I appreciate his transparency and openness with with the audience, and
I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Dan Clancy is the best thing to happen in terms of marketing to Twitch.
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, like aside from
But
that initial blog he did about the splits when he first took over the position, like I think it was literally like New Year's Day, 2023. That was a bit weird, but since then he's like, oh, I now understand these people, and
it feels like he wants to learn and know. And
I think very so far. Don't let me down, Dan Clancy, but I think very highly of him right now because based off of how transparent he is and how open he is, and the fact that he does stream and try to and interacts with the audience and the users of this platform. Like that's very rare when it comes to a CEO.
Do we know the positions?
So it is spread across multiple departments. There are some engineers. Apparently the new features team have been hit pretty hard based on quotes from people that were laid off. Apparently they were already struggling to develop these new features and stuff in the first place. Apparently they have been made bone thin in terms of how many heads are involved.
Skeleton crew, so to speak.
A skeleton crew, yeah. The partner managers, I think anyone who had a partner manager now longer doesn't. I don't even know if they exist at all as of these layoffs. I know Ep24 and Ezekiel, they lost both of their partner managers with these layoffs. So it does seem somewhat spread out. And Dan Clancy has not only said that Twitch is not profitable, but they did say, or he did somewhat say, that the reason for the layoffs were because they were right sizing, in his words, which I thought was good wordplay on his part, rather than downsizing, but because they hired for where they anticipated Twitch would be in 2024, probably skewed by the influx of users and whatnot from the pandemic, and then they haven't actually hit that yet, so they've had to right size.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. I feel like you're right. What Peachy's right. All the tech industries, they overhired around during the pandemic because there's a huge uptick in streaming and content creations, and it's not just Twitch, it was all the platforms. So I'm not surprised when we see these kind of downsizing. Right sizing, I'll call it what it is. So it's downsizing, because unfortunately, I mean, I look at it as when you think of any company, during the holiday season, they overhire and they have to remove the majority of them. It's the same thing. They got to make profit, and if they're not profitable, with that too much staff, they got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. I think something to add.
Oh, go ahead.
Something to add to what perspective you may have on it is, yes, we've known behind the curtain that Twitch isn't profitable, but Amazon didn't buy Twitch because it was profitable, because it wasn't profitable then either. They bought the tech. And they sell that tech. Kick is using that tech. I think it's Amazon Video Integration Services or something stupid like that. So I think it falls under the AWS umbrella, that tech, and that they sell it on for corporations to use the Twitch streaming software. So if anything, Twitch, you could argue, is an advert for that tech. So Twitch isn't profitable, but Twitch, I would presume, are in the background still working on that tech. They're working with NVIDIA with AV1 and the new enhanced features and stuff. And that development will then push onto the product that is sold through a VIS.
So they don't have to pay tax on Twitch because it's not profitable.
That's true too.
I've gone into full suit.
Yeah, but that's again a valid thing. So could it be that Twitch is not profitable as a platform? Is it profitable as a wider business to Amazon? And that's why for so long they've been putting up with it not being profitable until obviously we've been having to right size and downsize down. I also think I maintain this. I said about a year ago, give it about 2 years and Prime will not be what it was, or it will be gone.
No, they're definitely going to be changing Prime because they're not making money off of Prime.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely losing it.
It's such a nice option. Whenever people as streamers, it is a good idea to tell people if you have Prime to use it, because they're not paying any money and it's just free cash technically through the streamer. But that's not there. I'm surprised it's lasted as long as it has.
Same.
I feel if anything, they could rework Prime
Dan
where they
has
could
said that Prime is sticking around, but not necessarily in the same way. A lot of
I
people
would
are
see it as a
theorizing a discount.
code.
Yeah.
I could see it as a discount code, like maybe half off.
Yeah.
That would work. It's going to be unfortunate, but I don't know. I'm actually surprised Prime stuck around this long.
Thing is, it's going to change a lot. Like maybe not so much for the three of us, but if you're in the like,
you're a large streamer,
not even large, like medium, like if you're 1,000 up, 50% of your revenue roundabout could be from, or at least 50% of your sub revenue is from Prime for a lot of people, if not more. I know I've heard like 60, 70% been thrown around a lot. That's one of the reasons a lot of the streamers have been able to be bribed so easily into doing the advertising, because advertising for the bigger streamers is like a third of the, or if not more of the revenue now.
Advertising revenue in general has gone up. Like it's not like it's not a huge amount for me, but I've noticed that the numbers are not significantly high, but definitely a chunk higher. So if you're getting a lot of eyes on those ads, that's it
doesn't benefit people of our size.
It's nearly a 50% increase just
as much.
using the automated system, because it goes from
it doesn't
30
benefit
to 55.
as much.
So yeah, I'm not concerned per se. It is something I want to keep an eye on, because I do wonder if the tech behind Twitch will reach a saturation point and they go, okay, you're not bringing anything new now. You've reached peak streaming tech, at least for a noticeable period, without small incremental improvements.
Right.
So I am concerned that the goal will be shifted from that tech to Twitch becoming profitable, and what changes could we expect to bring Twitch into profitability? Like, do ads get forced to be like 10 minutes every hour instead of 3, things like that? You know, there's a lot of things, like obviously Prime could be removed or changed or adapted to a discount code, stuff like that. I've seen people argue as well that Twitch Prime is used to, or the free Prime sub is used to market Amazon Prime. I feel like no one's going, oh wow, I get a free sub.
I could get a free sub
one free sub a month.
Prime now.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much of a driver.
My Prime sub is because like I always forget to, like I always throw it to a friend every now and again. Like if I go on and I notice I have my Prime available, I'll toss it to whoever I'm watching. So
that's how I do it. I'm like, I'm gonna sub. Oh, there's a Prime. I'll just give him a Prime.
Yeah, like because I know with Prime you can't do auto resub with it. So it's kind of nice to have that option when I'm hanging in there, or like hanging around, like when you were playing Path of Exile, like if you were playing like Path of Exile, and like just because like I'll lurk sometimes in you guys' streams when I haven't been streaming. Yeah. But like, and if it's there, like it's something to throw to someone, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a nice gesture, in my opinion. Yeah.
What do you think would happen if they did get rid of Prime? Like if they got rid of it as a free sub?
I don't think it will directly impact either of us. I really don't think it will. I think for larger streamers, yes, it will. They will see they will get a bit more of a boo-boo, because because you don't know if it's like a kid using a parent's Prime account that could be throwing the Prime sub, because like I'm talking like larger streamers who might have like a more younger fan base like that, or students, because when I was still in school, like Prime, you would get free Prime using student depending on the school I went to. So you don't know like how, and if you're like, you know, you can't afford to have like, you know, $5 isn't a lot for some people, but it is a lot if you don't have it. So you know,
in terms of content though, how do you think it will change things? Because obviously, like say you're a big streamer where a Prime sub or Prime subs are about a third of your revenue, and that just gets deleted.
For me to say that, or to have a thought on that, because I don't have any frame of reference, and that I know that's a shitty answer, but like we don't know. I can't fathom what the percentage is, because with these larger streamers, but the only thing I could think of is a lot of larger streamers, like the biggest ones, we're like talking like Kaisana and shit like that. They are more likely to have like a fan base that might not be able to afford to pay for a regular sub. Regular sub. So having the Prime sub, be it like from their parents or if they're going to school, and their school offers Amazon Prime, because like I said, a lot of schools do that. They have that free sub that they can just throw them, and it doesn't affect them in any way. But like, when we're talking about people who might have a large audience, but they're like primarily adults,
like Casey Neistat, or whatever his name is, or Sinat rather, Kai Sinat rather.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking like, I mean, just for the, like, just like for the metas, like recently, like that discussion, like those, you know, they're not using Prime. They're not getting their money from the Prime subs. They're getting them from like actual adults with actual jobs.
If they were to lose like a third of that revenue, because that is an arbitrary example, but I've heard like it says it's usually at least a third of their like
it
income.
will probably be that much.
Do you think they would be driven to doing more ads or off the platform altogether to go to say kick and things like that?
I think it might be a 50-50 split. It could be either like some, for the ones who want to stick with the platform, will be more incentivized to go to use ads, and there might be some who might get pissed, because some people do tend to, you know, get upset about things like this, and understandably so, and think that it might be more profitable to go off platform and go to YouTube or Kick, or I don't know where else they could go, but those are the two.
I feel like Twitch has those fears as well, because that's why else hold off from it? Like, surely it's one of their biggest like loss leaders, as it were.
But unfortunately, like, it's just not a viable program to make a profit.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you can't. Because like,
how are you feeling, Peachy? You seem inquisitive.
I've been deep in thought listening to you talk about this. So you said a third of the largest streamers, a third of their income is Prime.
Not even the largest. Like Steel Mage, he said that that would completely change how he does things. Like, he doesn't run ads that often. He'll only run. He doesn't schedule ads. So he'll just be like, "Oh, I'm going on break now," and that's the only time he runs ads. And he said that it was like at least a third. He gets about 2,000 viewers.
Okay. I don't.
He's not the only example, to be clear. I've heard a lot of. It's usually around about at least a third. For some, it's at like half.
Okay, so I'm pulling all of this out of my ass. This is opinion. But brain was going while you guys were talking. I don't think they'll lose a third of their income. I think they will lose some income. I do.
They will. I agree with that.
I'm not sure what the numbers are on people using their subs, but most of the people I know who use subs are the same way Pulp uses it. Oh, I'm a sub. I'm gonna sub. Like, if I've got a Prime available, I'll use that. If I don't, I'll sub. Like, people with some form of disposable income.
Do you remind people to use their Prime in your stream?
I do, but I also, when I'm streaming, I'm very aware that not everyone can sub.
I don't ask,
and I'm also not the kind of streamer to be like, "Hey, sub." Apart from when it's ironic, which I do all the time.
I think like I don't really remember to, like, I think only a couple times. Like, if someone uses their Prime on me, I point out that they use their Prime on me. I'll be like, "Oh my god, like, thank you for so much for using your Prime on me."
Yeah.
I just like Prime subs.
Or like, I'll point out, or like I'll make a comment like, "Oh yeah, you use Cash Money on me, thank you." Like, you know, just try to, like, I'll joke about it, but I don't incentivize people to. I'm really bad about the call to action.
Just to interject before you continue, Peachy, that's perhaps something that will, like, perhaps change your perspective somewhat. That behavior has been like stamped into the minds of the bigger streamers. They do regularly advertise Prime. Like, oh, remember the Prime folks? Like, sometimes they'll meme on it, and then they'll get 1,000 Prime subs because people are like, oh shit, I have Prime. Yeah, cool, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there is a difference in behavior to consider as well.
I think there'll be more ads, which I think ads are horrible, but I think that does benefit Twitch as a whole. Because that is just, like, yes, streamers get paid for playing ads, but like the lion's share is going to Twitch.
Yeah.
I don't know how people spend it. I just know how I and a lot of my friends spend their Prime, and it's like, I'm going to sub anyway. Like, if I wasn't going to sub, I, like, very rarely will I just drop a Prime sub for no fucking reason if I've got one there.
Yeah.
It's that's exactly what I do. So just be like, you know, you're hanging out in your friend's chat, and then you notice it, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna throw it to my friend. Might as well just be, you know.
And I wonder how many people are the same as that. And like, is that, like, obviously
that's why I was trying
a lot
to bring
of very large streamers their audience is a lot younger.
That's
So
what I was trying to
I
bring
can
up with
see
the
that
with
affecting them.
the age. It's an age thing in this one. I think like because I know we talked before the past about other like Twitch issues with utilizing like if it's if they're a younger audience or not. But I think in this case it absolutely does factor in, because when we referring to like, let's just say like using the hot tub like category, most likely those are not minors, or there probably are, but there's not minors in there, and they're probably grown like people who have jobs, who have that disposable income, and that's why they're able to gift sub and drop all this income or all this money flow to
Horny,
these streamers.
well-paid degenerates is the terminology you're looking for.
I will go
new
with that.
podcast name.
Yes.
But when it comes to streamers specifically who have a larger demographic watching them that are 13 to 18, though, and maybe 13 to 25, we'll just go, because I don't know about you guys, but like when I was in school, I did not have money.
Right.
But I did have a Prime account because the college I went to supplied it, or I got it, or Prime let me. I forgot what the way it worked. I don't know how that works now. I just remember I got my Prime account for free.
That's still cool.
And
I can see why as well. That's quite beneficial as a student.
Well, because I was able to get my textbooks off Amazon. So, so if you're a student, obviously you're not going to have as much disposable income unless you're working, or you're lucky and you have your parents giving you money to.
I'm half expecting like Bad Bunny to crash through the fully rendered logo and go $5.
$5 a month.
Yeah, 100%. But go on.
There are otters in that category. There's otters in that category. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I foresee the people who are impacted the most will have the younger demographic. People and of a certain size. You're right, because I don't think the three of us really are going to be impacted that much. Because if I'm being honest, the majority of people who subscribe to my channel when I stream, sorry guys, I'll be back next week. But so subscribe then. Use your Prime. But when I do stream, I can guarantee you probably like not even 25% are Prime.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Like it's a huge, like a lot of people who are in my audience are very generous people, and I'm not saying that using a Prime isn't generous, but like I don't think it's going to impact me in any shape or form.
Yeah.
But I can't speak for people who have a younger demographic who's watching them, or who have a significantly larger audience, because I can't fathom what that looks like.
Yeah. I suppose I'm just wondering how it will affect like the overall streaming meta.
We're going to see a lot more ads.
Like,
I've seen a lot.
I actually think I might know now. So I diversify my revenue. I've got different sources.
Mm-hmm.
Very wise.
People like to support in different ways, right? It's just
It's also healthy in
Avenue.
case Twitch gets deleted overnight for whatever reason.
Yeah. So I am 99% sure that people who are living on Twitch, like, or content creators, and that's how they survive, like I do. I assume the bigger you are, they are diversifying.
Yeah, you
how
should
much
not be
they've
having
got,
your
right?
income coming from one source ever.
Yeah. So
But again, like bigger
I don't think
streamers,
it's going to be as impactful as when they reduced the price of the European Union countries and the UK to the price of a sub in America.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, like, for me, that was 50% of my revenue gone.
Yeah.
And I don't see this affecting 50% of a streamer's revenue. And I don't see a third either. Because yes, there are people, they will drop money for sure. Because there are people who are like, I can't afford a sub, which is like, yeah, of course.
It happens all the time.
It happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh, I can't afford a sub right now. Like,
yeah, and then what are you gonna do? Be pissed?
I don't see it.
Yell $5 a month.
I think you might see more adverts on the larger streams.
For sure.
But I don't think the meta's gonna switch that much. The meme of what's his face coming in and going Prime sub is gonna change for sure.
Right.
But I think the reducing price is affected it more than this is gonna do.
Mhm.
And then like how much does Twitch give a streamer? Like $2.50,
Yeah,
$2
50.
Yeah,
per sub?
depending on where they sub from and stuff. Yeah.
One sub, like for a streamer, that's not a huge amount. But for Twitch, all of those Prime subs,
Mhm.
At 250.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money. Like I haven't got Prime, so I get a free Prime sub.
That's
I
another
don't
thing
have.
to consider as well. Prime subs aren't subject to the localization. So if you're
Right.
like a South American streamer, you're probably only getting about $1 from your sub anyway, or from your paid subs, whereas you're getting $2.50 from all the Prime subs. So if you do have a younger audience who does spam Prime subs more frequently, that's how you can see like a build up in revenue becoming
So it seemed
more
like
heavy towards the Prime subs.
if those people who use their Prime sub start subbing like locally or like with money, I don't know how else to word it. Sorry. It would they might just see like a drop. It maybe not like a significant drop, but like a drop because of like just how much the what the currency difference. Is that what you mean?
So, like, say for example, again in South America, this isn't obviously like specific to any South American country, but say you are. In fact, I can quote one. I used to have a Chilean who subbed to me, and back when Twitch actually broke down the individual subs, they used to have that data and show it to us, and then got rid of it. I knew that his sub was like $1.30 or something like that because of all the fees.
Oh, because they're
like
accommodating for the difference in money, like currency value.
So technically, if I was a South American streamer, a Prime would be the equivalent of 2 of his subs. So one Prime is already 2 of his. So if I'm losing that one Prime, that in that example, that's obviously like 30% of.
So if he used his Prime,
revenue.
you're getting half his sub after that because he's not able to use the Prime anymore. Just using that example.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'd be losing $2.50, not $1.30 if it was a paid one.
Right.
So and as Peachy was mentioning, most people, particularly the big, like the 1%, are absolutely diverse in their streams of revenue. Whereas if you're closer to like maybe 500 to 1,000, maybe you haven't diversified that much yet. You're probably doing a few things on YouTube, but that a lot of the time is content that you're probably drawing from Twitch in the first place or edited from your Twitch VODs. So could it potentially change how people behave on Twitch? Do they start chasing the metas, the more niche metas a bit more? Do they start just spamming adverts more?
We're going
Does
to
that
see
mean
a lot
Twitch
more
changes
naked
ads?
people on Twitch.
Sorry?
I'm joking. I said we're going to start seeing a lot more naked people on
We
Twitch.
might. Who knows? Free the nipple.
No,
But
I mean, unfortunately, that's going to be a possibility because.
Like I said, they may potentially move to Kick. I'm not saying Kick is profitable. It absolutely isn't. But then in the same vein, that Twitch makes money from the tech, Kick makes money from getting people driven to the stake website.
If they're outraged enough to the point where like they don't want to run more ads and they want to move platforms, it'll be either Kick or YouTube. That's
100%.
So we're gonna see. Well, I would imagine that we might see some people do that.
Are there any streamers on Kick with ethics though? Are we gonna? Is the meta gonna be Kick is gonna have some ethics?
There are actually a few people who move to Kick.
My meme, seriously, God.
There are a few people who obviously move to Kick who are completely unaware of like some of the poster children of Kick. To be fair, there are people who just like, who's Aiden Ross, and they were like, well, they're giving me 95% of my
Kick, man.
Yeah, and they're going, but they're giving me 95% of my sub revenue.
To be arrested.
Yeah. So it's like there are going to be people unaware of that. If you're chronically online, you might know who Aiden Ross is, and Trainwrecks and all that. But if you're not, or you're not in any way affiliated with that side of things,
surely you are chronically online if you're a content creator, though.
Not necessarily. The pandemic is an example of it. New people got introduced to Twitch, and that's going to be probably one of Twitch's goals in the future, is to make itself more marketable to people who wouldn't ordinarily come to Twitch. Twitch is probably going to go down the path of wanting to have broadcasters on Twitch, for example, things like that. Because how else are they going to make up for the money that they're losing from all the tech in the first place? Obviously, the tech might get cheaper, especially with the implementation of AV1 and once that's more widely adopted by the consumer. But overall, there's probably going to be some big changes in direction of how Twitch is. It's not going to be the gaming website anymore.
It's very much going to be a wait and see thing.
Oh yes.
With Twitch right now, because I the one thing for sure is there's going to be a large change to Prime because it's not viable in its current form.
Yeah, I give it about another year.
It's good for the streamer and that's it, and the viewer, but not Twitch itself.
Yeah.
So
should we move on to the filler then?
Cotton.
You.
So also it does suck to anyone who was affected by the layoffs. Like, good luck finding new work. I know how you feel.
Yeah. Sorry, we've had that every stream, and every time it's like we don't know what to say because it just sucks to be laid off.
Yeah,
and it's not relenting in the gaming industry either. And I definitely know how it feels, but
it's overhiring and Suits thinking that constant growth is actually real and attainable.
Yeah.
Infinite growth does not exist.
Yeah.
Did either of you watch the Xbox Developer Conference?
I did not, but I looked through the Steam page.
I did see the Indiana Jones.
I saw the Indiana Jones.
Renders.
My husband was very excited about that one.
It looks surprisingly good.
It looks really cool. I went and I think afterwards because some of the games are also coming to Steam. I went to go look and see what was announced, and with my rounds of wish listing. But no, I did not see it.
Yeah, so the Indiana game is currently on screen now if you want to give it a ganders. They have gone with Harrison Ford's likeness. I think it's been done really, really well. I think that's one of the benefits of games. You don't have to de-age people. You can just make them in a game engine and it's like acceptable kind of thing, as opposed to like what they did with the movie recently. It is Troy Baker doing essentially a Harrison Ford impression. Most people didn't notice it seems. Some people were like, who is that? It feels a bit off, and others were like, wait, is it not Harrison Ford? I can't tell, kind of thing. So I see that as he's done a good job. It's been made by the same folks that make the recent Wolfenstein games. So if you liked those games, I did. I think they're very good first-person shooters.
I have them. I bought them, but I don't think I ever played them, but they looked good.
Yeah, so that's...
Wait, it's directed by Todd Howard?
He's a producer, I believe. But,
produced.
But
okay.
Him being the producer does mean that he has quite a lot of influence. Todd the Seagull Howard will come in, shit on everything, and then leave. Apparently, is like how his team members have described him in the past.
Oh no, is this gonna just be a story game?
Apparently, it's a passion project of Todd's. It is.
Okay, I take it back.
It is a linear game. It is story driven. It's not going to be open world or anything like that.
No, linear games are fine. I care about mechanics. We talk about this all the time. There's two different ways to build a game: now top down, bottom up, right? But like, what were the old Indiana Jones games called on PlayStation? Uncharted.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like Uncharted?
It's probably first person Uncharted. It is in first person, but I would probably put it in the same vein as like the Uncharted series. It's an adventure game primarily rather than an action game, I think is the best way to phrase it. But it is first person, so it looks like the action's pretty cool. Like, you get to punch people, you get your whip, as you can see on screen now. They actually timed the music with the punching in the trailer. It was quite funny. But they actually showed us a lot in the developer conference as well. I was like, this is amazing, but stop kind of thing. Like, please stop. I want to be surprised. This is just like the 3-minute trailer, though, in comparison.
Maybe this means we'll get a good story in the Indiana Jones universe, because we haven't had it from the movies in a while.
Yeah, that's true. It's very much sticking to the formula, like fight Nazis and all that, and there's the villainous
He's jumping
Nazi.
on planes. Sorry.
Yeah. No, like I said, it actually looks amazing.
Planes?
Sorry?
Is he jumping on Nazi planes?
Yes, he is.
Indiana Jones.
Those look like Japanese planes to me.
I don't know.
Mitsubishis.
Do I look like it? I don't know.
An airplane expert.
Do I look like an airplane expert?
Do I look like an airplane to you? No.
I lost it. I was gonna say something. I completely lost it. I like just trailed off.
Oh good. Yeah, I thought that actually looked.
I'm sorry. That wasn't a dig at you for like. Oh my god,
I'm not an airplane expert.
I was just like looking at it going. No, I think that might be a Japanese plane.
Is this something you guys would be interested in playing?
I might check. I think I might check it out. I'm gonna keep an eye on it.
On stream, no.
Okay.
I would play it on stream. I don't mind playing story games.
I'll probably wait until reviews. I assume since it's going to be under the Microsoft label that it'll come to Game Pass. So I'll wait for reviews, and if it's worth downloading, I'll check it and then probably stream it if it was reviewed well. I'm looking at it optimistically though. I think it will probably review very well.
It does look cool.
There was also Avowed, which is essentially, it's going to sound a bit reductive when I say this, but essentially Skyrim, but by the Obsidian devs within the Pillars of Eternity universe, which is Eorzea, I believe, or Eora. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played those games. I did really like the universe though, and the characters and whatnot in that game. So I've been tentatively excited about Avowed. The combat does look a little bit Skyrim-y though. They've added their own things, like there's going to be weapon swapping and stuff, so you can dual wield wands and stuff like that as well, and suddenly whip out a sword and shield. It looks really, really pretty, but I think the combat just looks a bit, I don't want to say clunky because I don't think it's clunky, but a little too slow and deliberate. Like, you need to parry this attack because he's doing a massive, like, over the head swing kind of thing, and it's like, quick, you can now do it. But it's not like turn based or anything like that. You can use like spells to, roots there to stun someone to give you time to fight another NPC and things like that. Yeah, you can dual wield.
It's a wand over a staff. That's interesting.
Dual wielding ones, because wands would be faster than a staff theoretically. That's usually how wands are done in that kind of genre. So yeah, I think it looks good. I love the aesthetic. I think it looks pretty as fuck, and the title card art that they do, I think we'll probably see it towards the end of this video. That looks
Is this Unreal?
I believe maybe you'll have to Google it because I can't on that screen. Bear with me, or I'll do it. Obsidian.
It does kind of look like Skyrim too, if Bethesda weren't doing it anymore.
It is Unreal Engine 5. It lists 4 as well, so I don't know if they migrated it.
They've probably been working on it a while, right?
Yeah, and
it looks shiny.
Yeah, well,
I love shiny.
Wow.
That's the thing as well. Like, if you're someone who played, say, the Elder Scrolls series,
I couldn't remember what game we were talking about.
So yes,
go ahead. Sorry.
Avowed. So like using Skyrim as one of the more prominent examples. It's very grey. Is Skyrim like there's lots of grey.
It looks like a more glittery Skyrim. Like they put a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds a little reductive, but obviously with the monsters and whatnot from.
Oh, I'm not trying to not trying to be reductive. Just just the first person combat, because I'm not really a big fan of first person combat.
Skyrim's combat though isn't good.
It's not.
No, it's not. No. I'm usually archer when I would play Skyrim.
Yeah, this does certainly look like it would be an improvement on that style of combat. I think, especially with the inclusion of the weapon swapping, so you can like freeze them with your wand, then you whip out another weapon to do a heavy attack, like the sword, for example, or you can bring out a two-handed weapon, stuff like that. That's cool because again, it gives you player agency to make the build you want to build. But yeah, it's something I'm gonna have to get my hands on to really understand the feel of the combat. I feel is what I'm trying to get across. Like it doesn't look like it will feel that satisfying, but hopefully it will be.
This has got the exploration that I like from these kind of games.
Did you like Outer Worlds?
Yes and no. It felt, because the way it was laid out, it felt a bit small. Like I understand why it was. I think it was very well done.
Well, it's the same devs, so
because the draw of like say Skyrim or whatever or Fallout is a big map. You can go there. Like the whole meme, right? If it's that, yeah, I fucks with that.
Yeah, they did say that it's going to have things like choices have long-term effects on the game as a whole, so it could actually literally change potentially the environment, like actual.
You're saying our choices matter.
Our choices actually matter, as opposed to.
Do my choices matter for once? Please say yes.
Your choices make surface changes at best.
But this is coming from Obsidian, and I believe Obsidian when they say it. You know what I mean?
I don't believe anyone when they say that.
That's fair. Well, when they've said it in the past, they've kept up with what they've said, so that's historically
choices can't matter in a game, otherwise
my choices never matter. That's what I was told.
They never matter. You're just
they never
they said that about Cyberpunk.
Yeah, but that's Cyberpunk, not a game by Obsidian. Like have you guys played Pillars of Eternity, or because they're CRPGs?
Not Pillars of Eternity. I did play Outer Worlds, so
right. So yeah, so like they are CRPG experts basically.
I would just urge everyone to take the phrase "your choices matter" with a heavy pinch of salt.
That's fair.
I don't think my choices ever matter. I think I get told my choices matter. We all know the truth.
They didn't matter in Anthem, I can tell you that. That's the
I know
art I was
they
on about.
Brian pulling out the anthem.
Oh, not Anthem.
Anthem was such a disappointment. But we've got to tie up the show because Hope and Company have to
It
scarp
was
it.
Can
also
I
Hellblade
quickly
3 that was
just
announced.
celebrate the new genre on Steam?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
boomer
I saw
shooters,
that.
certainly.
I knew I wanted. I'm very stoked too.
Boomer shooters are now an official genre on Steam, and I'm stoked. But they are putting movement shooters, and they're not boomer shooters. They're like, okay, it's not specific enough. Can we have another? No, it's awesome because I love me a retro shooter, fast movement. It's not a big story. It's just something that makes me happy.
Yeah, no, it tickled me when I
our
saw it.
resident boomer shooter. That's right there.
I'll let you make the decision then, Paul. Did you want me to quickly reel off the last remaining subjects, or should we jump to shout out?
Go ahead. Yeah, might as well.
Okay,
Thanks.
so Suicide Squad previews are not going favorably. So unfavorably that Warner Bros. When I know will lift the NDA, because if there's more people to talk, surely some of them will speak positively of it. That bet did not pay off. Basically, everyone said, like they've said certain things like that mechanically it's fine, like it technically is fine, but it's just not great. It's not even bad. It's just a very okay game, which as a live service game means it's a bad game technically, because it means it won't retain players. So yeah, it's a bit of a letdown. RTX 40 series cards, you've got the super cards coming out. I believe the 4070 super came out either today or yesterday or in the next day or so. It's very, very close. And then it's about a month for the 4080 super. They are more powerful, but cheaper. The 4080 is like $200 cheaper. So I might actually start saving up once I'm working again to get one. Before I was like, nah, that's a bit of a rip-off price. And now I hope it gets lower in the future and NVIDIA responds to that. And I have theories, but that's for another show. As we mentioned, boomer shooters are now official genre on Steam. Smite 2 got announced. I'm kind of excited
They're killing
about
your games. They're killing games. Stop them from. It has to be illegal.
What,
it has to be illegal to kill a game.
Are they actually killing old Smite to replace it?
You think they're going to keep working on Smite and allow you to play it and spend money on their servers? You can play Smite 1? No.
Because there's some people might not, like in the same way PoE and PoE 2 are going to coexist, because they will be slightly different games. The one thing I was going to point out.
Okay, maybe, maybe, but the fucking anarchist in me says no, they're going to kill it, and everything you spent on that game is now gone forever.
Well, that was going to be the next point. The cosmetics don't carry over, unlike with PoE, where they all carry over. But you do get a discount code if you do want to repurchase them again for the new game. It's a 50% discount code. So yeah,
like Overwatch 2 never happened.
Yeah, that was a nice time.
Update your game. League of Legends did it.
Was there anything else? No, that was it. I'm kind of stoked, interested in Smite 2, because I used to be really good at Smite, but then I stopped playing it. Sorry?
Just update Smite.
Well, the reason I think they're probably doing it as a 2 is because they're redoing the engine, because the original one's a bit dated now. And also to get everyone in at the same floor, as it were, because one of the reasons I've never gone back to Smite. You're going to have people who are going to be more experienced in MOBAs, but for example, I haven't gone back to Smite because I stopped playing a couple of years ago, and then in that time where I stopped playing, like another 50 gods came out, and I was like, I haven't got time to catch up on 50 gods, whereas new game, new mechanics for those characters, some of them I imagine are going to be similar, sure, but everyone's learning from zero again, as it were, essentially.
No one's learning from zero, though.
Not everyone, but a majority of the audience, kind of thing.
I think that's like a company. Oh no, everyone's going to start from the same baseline. They won't be. If you played a fuck ton of Smite, you are going to be objectively better than everyone else who just started playing Smite 2.
Yeah, but people who play full first-person shooter games are going to be better at completely different IPs of first-person shooter games. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about. Yeah, but what I'm talking about is people who, such as myself, could return to it starting from a point where everyone's having to relearn the abilities and such, because they're going to be new models, new characters, new gods and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, there's different levels in skill, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm in it. in the absence of skill is what I'm talking about.
I'm
Does that make
just
sense?
like, how much money do you spend on a live service? Like,
I often very rarely spend a lot.
I know it's been going a long time. I don't know. It just makes me feel a bit icky, and I've still got Overwatch 2 in my brain, and maybe that is unfair. But I'm here to be unfair sometimes.
That's fair. No, that is fair. Paul, do you need to go?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
Sorry,
that's-
Paul.
no,
I
we're
was
good.
bitching about the
No,
fucking
dude.
industry again.
If, under normal circumstances, I'm always happy to stay longer.
Yeah, not sorry. So shout outs, Paul.
Hi, I'm Pulp Fictionally, a former Instagram model turned variety streamer, except I'm not streaming right now, but I will be back next week for sure. I promise this time. You can find me on all my social media under Pulp Fictionally, except for Twitter, where someone stole my name, and I refuse to call it X. PT.
Hi, I'm Peachy. Sorry I didn't talk about Warhammer today. Come over to my stream tomorrow starting at 3 p.m. UK time, and I will talk all you want about Warhammer. Twitch.tv/PeachyPixel8.
You ate.
Yeah, that's all I got because I lost 3 days.
Bless you.
And I'm sorry, patrons. I will try my hardest. I'm sorry, Pulp, as well, because you've got to do it again. I will get something done for you. Okay. I messed up, and I'm sorry.
I'm happy to do it again.
Rendered.
Yeah, patreon.com/fully slash
Fully
forward
slash.
slash.
It's a school night
How do
now.
you fully slash something?
But thank you again to my co-hosts, as always, for a wonderful show. I thought it was a very interesting show with the topics that we had on hand today. If you wish to find me on social media, I am Brian the Pirate, just about anywhere: Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. The meta one, I've forgotten the name, Threads, things like that. I will probably be streaming tomorrow at some point, probably around about 3 p.m. GMT, maybe a wee bit later. I tend to go a wee bit later in the evenings. We'll be looking at the developer update for Diablo 4 that happened the other day. I've yet to watch it, so we'll be watching that live. Ooh. And of course, subscribe to the podcast, the Twitter, and everything else for Fully Rendered. Thank you all very much for watching. Sub to the YouTube. Farewell, Peachy. We'll remember you. Bye-bye.
I will.
Bye, Peachy.